fellas, in today's video I'll be showing you how to play Psylocke in this Marvel Rivals guide. Psylocke is a fairly unique character, although they seem very simple to play. They do have a 5-star difficulty rating, definitely undeserved, as for the most part their kit is entirely simple. The hardest part, I would have to say about them, is honestly just learning your positioning. And if you play a lot of support or Vanguard, for example, or even just maybe other basic DPS, you might not be used to the whole flanking attire, and that can make them fairly difficult to get a good grasp of. Out of all the DPS, I don't think Psylocke has the most utility, someone who you'll have an easy time with while solo queuing. But as a general, they do great damage, and they're able to be an assassin character, as well as to get away and recharge their abilities just off of doing their basic attacks. Psylocke is often used as a flanker, and that is something that they do really well, but they also shine really well on the front line, or at least playing alongside their tanks, sticking with their team to get healed and to do, again, their good damage. But don't be afraid to take any openings you do see, or anyone who is at a position, as she can do burst damage quite quickly and take down the enemy team. Now, this is not something that's going to make you play better or will help you really in any way, but she does have some nice cosmetics. This one I'm not a huge fan of, but if you do play Psylocke a lot, this is a cheap costume that honestly doesn't look bad. But this one is straight gas, straight fire, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Starting with her basic ability, the Psionic Crossbow. This shoots out 4 projectiles per shot, dealing 12 damage per bolt. It can do quite a bit. It fires very fast, and it spreads just a tiny bit after about 10 or so meters, with the damage falling off about 15 meters. This has a cooldown reduction of 0.25 seconds per bolt, so this is something you'll want to be using quite often, as much as you can, to get your abilities back up and going. Now, the real fun one is wing shurikens. This is a 2-hit combo basically. You'll shoot at your shurikens and it will stick to a target or to an object, and then when you recall it, that will do even more damage. Plus, it gives you bonus overshield. The thing that is important with the shurikens is that when you do recall them, so the second part of it, they will travel to the cursor and then back to Psylocke, meaning if you put them in point A, as you can see here, and then aim at point B, it will hit point B before returning to point Psylocke. Now, this does shoot out 5 shurikens, and you get 10 bonus health per shuriken hit. It does have a cooldown of 8 seconds, with a damage fall off starting at 15 meters, so not very far, decreasing to 80% at 25 meters. If you're facing a tank, you can shoot out your shurikens. This does 8 damage per, or 40 damage in total, and then it does 14 more damage on recall per shuriken, meaning if you're doing your basic attack in the shurikens to a tank, this can easily melt them down pretty fast, but you only have 1 use per 8 seconds, so it's not like you're going to be soloing tanks, but it is a great help. Now you got the side blade dash. You press your left shift, and what this does is dashes you forward, doing 50 damage per enemy hit. You have 2 charges. Honestly, very great to use, great for finishing off targets, and this dashes you about 12 or so meters. One thing that you can do that I don't hear talked about a lot is if you throw your shurikens down first and then do your dash into a target, this will also recall the shurikens, dealing bonus damage on top of everything else. Now, one that I hoped would do a little bit more is Psychic Stealth. What this does is for 3 seconds, you turn invisible with a 15-second cooldown. You get a 50% movement bonus. Honestly, nothing too much, but allows you to get either into positioning or to get away. You do not get bonus health while in this state. That's very important to note, as that's something that feels like it should be there, even though it's not. And if you are attacked while you're stealth, you will remain in that stealth form, but you will be briefly visible for just a short period before turning back into your stealth mode, allowing people to track you somewhat reasonably well if they do manage to hit you. Next, we have Dance of the Butterfly. This does insane damage lasting 4 seconds. Hits 2 times per second, 8 times in total, and a 10-meter radius that you can move around, but you do have a slowdown effect of about 30%. Now, you will slash enemies in a random order. However, those who have been slashed the least will be given priority for the next slash, meaning you can't just focus on one specific target if you have multiple in your radius, but if you do use it to finish off one person, they're very likely going to die. Overall, this is not a great opener ultimate. It's great for finishing off targets or for singling out specific targets. And now let's talk about her passive ability. She has none. Very simple. Again, all of her abilities are very simple, nothing too complicated. The only one that is somewhat tricky is the psionic disc. That's if you have a magic on your team. What Psylocke will do is travel back a few seconds. She'll get some bonus health and change her position. Very good if you happen to get flanked or you drop into a big enemy fight that you really can't be a part of. And then for the suggested combo, that is go in stealth mode, get into position, and then your basic attack with your secondary attack just to get intensive damage, using your shift ability, that dash, to pick off anyone that you can. The main two ways to play is really as a flanker or more so on the front line. Please, as a pro tip, use your basic attack and shoot at the flyers, especially if a lot of the members on your team aren't good to take down flyers. This at the very least will do some chip damage and will cause them some problems. You want to use your basic attack as much as you can. This will help cool down your cooldown abilities. So you want to use your basic attack as much as you can, whether it's just for chip damage, but the main priority will be to get your cooldowns back, using your shift in the beginning of the game to get into position, to get around, and then using it primarily to secure your picks. If you do miss your shots with your basic attack, it's fine, you have a ton of them. And then if you're ever in a pinch, you can use your invisibility to get away. Or if you see the supports are in the back not being guarded, you can use your invisibility, pop it, get to them, to be able to kill them. That also goes into her ultimate ability. So for the most part, you'll be with your team, you'll be building up your ultimate pretty darn fast. After that, you pop your invisibility to get to the enemy backline to take out their supports and any backline snipers with your ultimate. And the best way to get that done is to start from a higher position. If there's no terrain around for you to jump off of and pop your ultimate, you can always just be invisible and then dash up twice, pop your ultimate, and this will give you time for your ultimate to start, to surprise your enemies more, to take them out. Overall, in terms of strategy, Psylocke excels with getting into the enemy backline, using her ultimate, and then taking out the enemy team. Same thing with her basic and secondary attack. The best combo I can recommend for any Psylocke out there is going to be to do 1 to 2 basic attacks, use your shuriken, or call it basic attack, and then use your dash to finish off the kill. And now that's primarily talking about playing her on the front line or with your team. When you are flanking, how do you do that? That is going to be using a lot of her invisibility to get around into position. They'll give you time to hide behind walls or up high and then look to secure your kill. You don't want to be taking on 1v3s, 1v4s. You want to be taking on the 1v1 with the enemy team who is out of position. Overall, Psylocke is great for positioning, and using her ultimate at the right time can be what makes or breaks the game. You have 2 real good options to play Psylocke, that's whether with your team or as a primary flanker. Ultimately, it will come down to your team composition and how well your team plays for you to figure out what you're going to do. And that's a wrap on this Psylocke Marvel Rivals guide. Tell me, did I miss anything, or do you have any tips of your own you think other people should know? Leave it in the comments below. And hey, hit that like button if you're still watching, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already. Stay tuned for the next one.